Aloha mai kako. My name is David Lassner, and I serve as the president of the University of Hawaiʻi, leading our 10-campus system and our flagship University of Hawaiʻi at Manoa. We serve these islands, which are the ancestral home of the Kanaka Maoli, or Native Hawaiian people. My own ancestry involves centuries of wandering, but I am now privileged to make my home in lush Waiomau within Palolo Valley, in the Ahupua'a of Waikiki, within the Moku of Kona on the island of Oahu. I am personally grateful to this place and her people who have embraced me for over 4 decades. Over 125 years ago, Queen Liliuokalani yielded the Hawaiian Kingdom and these territories under duress and protest to the United States to avoid the bloodshed of her people. And it was nearly 30 years ago that the U.S. government formally apologized for this act, which it has acknowledged as an illegal overthrow. As the only public institution of higher education in Hawaii, the University of Hawaii is strategically clear in our commitment to become a model Indigenous serving institution, committed to the sustainability of Hawaii's people, islands, language, culture, and knowledge. This strategic imperative is named Hawaii Papaokeao, or the Hawaii Foundation of Enlightened Knowledge. So today I welcome you all, and I offer up an invitation to join us in celebrating the University of Hawaii's ongoing contributions to the advancement of Indigenous Hawaiian knowledge. Mahalo.
Aloha mai kako. I am Mainette Kapiahiokalani Patakinani Benham, Chancellor of the University of Hawaii West Oahu and co-chair of Hawaii Papaokeao, with Chancellor of Maui College, Dr. Louis Hokoana. Hawaii Papaokeao was established in January 2012 and consists of representatives from all 10 campuses. The purpose of this presidentially appointed committee is to set goals and objectives to address the higher education needs of Native Hawaiians through 3 pathways: leadership development, community engagement, and Hawaiian language and cultural parity. At our first meeting this school year, our discussions focused on how our Native Hawaiian students, faculty, and staff, and their families were managing this challenging time. Committee members shared that folks on their campus were feeling isolated, disconnected, and depressed due to the psychosocial, emotional, and economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we asked, what could Hawaii Papaokeao do? And after some discussion led by Tapori Tangaro, representative from Hawaii Community College, we decided that we wanted to address Indigenous well-being through the nourishment that can be found in the abundant talent and knowledge across our campus communities. Hence, the birth of the inaugural Hawaii Papaokeao series, He Ukana Aloha Kā Kīlauea. Mahalo for joining us today, and we hope to see you and your family and friends every month through June of 2021 as we lovingly share this makana with you. E nā nea kākou I ka ike kupuna I ho'owili ai mai ki kilo mai. Enjoy and be enriched by the wisdom passed down from our kupuna through so many generations to us today. Aloha.
No tihi lawe a te aloha la hanali o ka ke le ta moana la hana holo ma mua holo ma ho pela hana tau pono tai hui tamata ni la hana hae o mai ki la hue ala hana tau ahe ahe ia I taili tai la hana hakinu a kauahi I te tai la hana no mea e kaui la malaha lo la hana waho mai Kamehameha ʻelima.
Oi ale ale
Ku I ka lani ka awale ke au ka malama lama ka he tawai mai ke kumu mai o pu ali ka piko na kukui ua hana I o haloa I ka ua mohala na pua ulu ka mana o I o mai ka vele lau o ka waikini Karai mama loa o ka lani pu ue a mako
o ka puhana ho mai leo he aina loha no o puhali e ali no ani ani mai kamakani Ulua e ka aina e tukune e kumako I ka ike o haupu Ululo ihi ka malama lama e hele mai Me kamakani o te ala ori Lo kahi I ka laakea O halo I ka waiolo o ka waikini e hea mai no e
Aloha mai kākou and welcome to Kauai Community College's Day 2 of He Ukana Aloha Kā Kīlauea. My name is P.E. Kale Ferguson Sahut. Mahalo nui for joining us as we continue with the mo'olelo and ka'au of Kawelo, melehimeni of Ni'ihau and Kauai, wahi, places, and sharing a community collaboration project that we hope you will enjoy. If you have your ukulele or kika, guitar, please join us.
Aloha mai kākou. Mahalo nui pi'ilani for opening today's event. My name is Isaiah Ka'oai, and I'm the Hawaii Papa'okeo representative for Kauai Community College, and I will be your MC for today. Please join us in singing or playing your musical instruments, or both, as we share a Kauai mele kipukai with musicians and singers Keiki Aloha Ka'ohelauli'i Kahokuloa, Alberto Genovia, and Josh Cabreros.
No ki pukai ke aloha, o mei ka pili ka kai. I laila e I ke ai, I ka nui loko mai kai.
No ki pukai ke aloha, o mei ka pili ka kai. I laila e I ke ai, I ka nui loko mai kai.
Nanea I ka ho'olohe, I ka lulu mai o ke kai. Kana lunu I e holuana, I ka laea o kua honu.
Nanea I ka ho'olohe, I ka lulu mai o ke kai. Kana lulu e holuana, I ka laea o kua honu.
Ole ko hohi I kanania o haupu Mauna ki e iluna Hano ke I ke aku Take it, Josh.
Pau ole ko ho'i I kanania o haupu Mauna ki e iluna Hano ke I ke aku
Puana ia me ke aloha No kanania o haupu E ke aka loko mai kai Ka kua o ki pukai
Puana ia me ke aloha No kanania o haupu Me ke aka loko mai kai Ka hakua o ki pukai Me ke aka loko mai kai Ka hakua o ki pukai
Mahalo nui to Keiki Aloha, Alberto and Josh. We're doing the Ka'au series, and our mo'olelo is Kawelo. And I'd just like to recap Kawelo's hua and ha'alele from our previous webinar. In the hua, Kawelo was raised by his maternal grandparents, who were proficient in foretelling the future of children. They predicted that Kawelo would someday be powerful and rule as king. In the ha'alele, Kawelo was taken by his grandparents to visit his older brothers who lived on Oahu. He didn't have much of a choice nor time to prepare for the move, but otherwise they did live on Oahu for quite some time. Now we'd like to share the huaka'i and ho'i of Kawelo, and following will be two of our students, Joanna Rodriguez and Lisa Raposo, to share their personal stories through ka'au.
Aloha kako. My name is Candice Tabuchi, and I will be sharing the huaka'i of the ka'au of the Kawelo mo'olelo. Kawelo grew into manhood and took a wife, Kanewahine Ikeaoha, the daughter of Kalona Ikaha'ila'au, a famous warrior. It was this man who taught Kawelo and his wife, along with Kawelo's younger brother, Kamalama, the arts of war, and Kawelo became very proficient in all arts, except that of dodging stones. Having mastered the arts of war, Kawelo looked to learn its counterpart, the hula, but he could not master it. He next turned to fishing and sought out the famous fisherman Ma'akua Keke of Waialae, who became the fishing instructor of Kawelo. While out fishing, Kawelo determined to catch the giant fish, Uhuma Ka'ikai. With one stroke of his paddle, Kawelo took the canoe to the north point of Kaena, where Uhuma Ka'ikai passed every day, and threw his net to catch the fish. The fish dragged the two men in their canoe from Kaena to Kauai and back to Waikiki. Back in home waters, Kawelo chanted to Uhuma Ka'ikai, and the giant fish was dead. When he got home, he again ate an entire umu of food, and at sunset he said to his wife and brother, "Let us look at the small pointed clouds of the land. For the small pointed clouds, Kamalama, denote oppression, for I feel the cold anticipation of coming danger entering within me. Consumed, for Kauai is consumed by fire. Consumed, for Haupu is consumed by fire. Consumed, for Kalanipu'u is consumed by fire. Consumed, for Kalalea is consumed by fire. Consumed, for Kahiki is consumed by fire. Consumed, for the eel has ceased moving, being consumed by the fire. For love has brought the fond remembrance of Maihuna, parent of Kawelo. Possibly my parents are dead." Both his wife and brother doubted him, asking how could he know there was trouble on Kauai when he was on Oahu. But then messengers arrived at Waikiki to tell Kawelo that Aikanaka had seized the land of his parents, who now had nowhere to live and nothing to eat but ukus. They asked Kawelo to come back to Kauai to save his family and Kauai. Kawelo sent his wife to ask her father for the final stroke of the war club he had not yet learned, and sent his brother to Kakuiheva, the king of Oahu, for a war canoe to travel to Kauai, and so prepared for his return to Kauai. Mahalo.
Aloha mai kako. My name is Shante Sedora, and I will be sharing the ho'i of the ka'au of the Kawelo mo'olelo. Kawelo and his warriors set out on one canoe to the battle of Aikanaka and the warriors of Kauai. Ka'auleva, the cloud over Haupu mountain, was seen after only one day of voyaging, and Kawelo determined to go directly to Wailua without stopping to rest and visit his parents in Hanama'ulu. As they neared Wailua, Kawelo ordered Kamalama to wrap him in a lauhala mat to lay on the platform of the canoe, and to be his spokesman to the people of Kauai. When the canoe was spotted by the people of Kauai, Aikanaka ordered his men to go ask the purpose of the visit, whether friendly or for war. Kamalama answered that they had come to do battle. When asked who their champion was, Kamalama answered that it was he. Where is Kawelo? He is on Oahu. The order was given to help the canoe to land and to give the invaders time to bathe and eat before the battle. But when the Kauai men took up the canoe to bring it ashore, Kawelo emerged and with his war club Kuika'a slaughtered the men carrying the canoe. Thus began the battle for Kauai. Kawelo sent his brothers Kamalama and his adopted sons Ka'eleha, Kalaumiki, Kaulu'ike to confront the warriors sent by Aikanaka. Wave after wave of the Kauai warriors were defeated until Ka'uahoa, the childhood friend, was left to fight Kawelo. The boy had grown to be a giant. His war club was an entire koa tree, and at first Kawelo was afraid of him. But then he remembered the kite incident, when Ka'uahoa was afraid to fight him, and Kawelo knew he would win. He first chanted to Ka'uahoa of their growing up together in friendship and trying to convince him not to fight, but Ka'uahoa was not turned. He lifted his club to crush Kawelo. Kane Wahine Ikeaoha threw her pikoi to entangle the club and throw him off balance, and Kawelo slew him with one stroke of his war club. The last of the great Kauai warriors defeated, Kawelo and his wife started to climb Noa Noa where Aikanaka was perched. When Aikanaka saw that his last warrior was dead, he proposed to descend and fight Kawelo himself. When his priests loudly told him, "You cannot fight Kawelo, you are a king, he is a servant." His grandfather was but a counter of cockroaches. Nahai Naumoa, the feeder of chickens by name. When Kawelo heard this, he rolled down the mountain in shame. But his wife threw out her pikoi to stop him and said, "Are you truly a servant? You are a warrior." Kawelo stood up and chanted, "The chicken is the king. The chicken roots on the house and sits over your head, Aikanaka. The chicken wakes up in the morning. The chicken is a king. It is a king." Hearing this and seeing Kawelo coming, Aikanaka and his remaining men fled to live in the poverty in Hanapepe. Kawelo was now king of Kauai and rewarded his warriors with divisions of the land. One day, Ka'eleha set out from his lands in Kapa'a to travel to the west side. In Hanapepe, Aikanaka saw him and invited him to rest and eat, giving him his daughter as his wife. Ka'eleha felt such gratitude for this hospitality, and having nothing else to offer in return, told Aikanaka of Kawelo's one weakness, his inability to fight stones. Aikanaka took heart and started to plan a rebellion. When word got to Kawelo of Aikanaka's activities, he traveled to Wahiwa, where Aikanaka and Ka'eleha had assembled a fleet of war canoes and piles of stones to do battle. Kawelo was so enraged and he engaged them alone, but he was no match for all the stones that were thrown and finally covered him. Thinking he was dead, Aikanaka had him taken to his heiau in Maulili in Koloa, and left him lying on the altar covered in banana leaves to be offered in sacrifice the next day. When Kawelo revived from his unconsciousness, the friendly guard told him what was to be his fate. Kawelo enlisted his aid, telling him to cover him over again and to let him know when Aikanaka and the others arrived for the sacrifice. When the rebels arrived, the guard whispered to Kawelo to wake up. They were here. Kawelo leaped up and laid about him with his club, Kuaka'a, until all were dead except the friendly guard. Thus ended the reign of Ai Kanaka. Kawelo returned to Hanama'ulu, where he lived with his parents and his wife. Hear and meet the famous legend of Kawelo, Pipi Holo Ka'au, Mahalo Nui.
Aloha everyone, my name is Joanna Rodriguez. I'm 28 years old and I'm here to share my huaka'i or my college journey with you. I'm a mother of 2 children and have been a student of KCC for 5 years. I recently graduated with my associates in business technology and I'm taking my prerequisites here before transferring to West Oahu to save some money. Although my grades in school have always been decent, I dropped out of high school in 2008 during my 10th grade year because I was being bullied. After getting my diploma online, I tried to get into the nursing program here at KCC, but was turned down for being too young. For the next 6 years, my life completely changed. I ended up doing things I told myself I would never do. I found myself struggling on and off for 6 years with addiction to opiates and methamphetamines about a year after having my son in 2009. Although I attended all the outpatient treatments and substance abuse classes while also having a premature baby, my addiction led me to jail and even being hospitalized for 2 months. These drug-related life-threatening illnesses caused Child Protective Service to open not my first but my 3rd CPS case and took my children away from my mother, who had always cared for them throughout my entire addiction. Seeing how devastated my children and mother were made me realize that I needed to wake up. After being released from the hospital, I started doing everything I needed to stay clean for my children and my mother, but felt like I was stuck in the same cycle and I just didn't have a purpose. After hearing a friend in recovery talk about college and how great it was, I decided to try it out. Like my friend, I wanted a reason to stay clean and sober from all drugs, and it seemed like college and the Waialeale Scholarship would help me with this. The Waialeale Scholarship is a first-year experience program that helps students that never thought they could go to college experience it for 1 year. In my first semester of college, I was able to gain custody of my children and close my CPS case, all while getting a 4.0. However, while working on my associate's degree, I had 2 classes where I almost didn't pass. During my first year of college, I decided to take Math 75X because I knew that math is just not my strongest point. I worked closely with my instructor, attended tutoring sessions before and after class, but no matter how hard I tried, I just could not get it. I was close to failing, but with communication and tirelessly working with my tutor, I received my first and only C. In the end, although I didn't get the A that I wanted, I at least passed. After that experience, I knew I couldn't take the highest math level I needed, which was Math 100, so I decided to take Business 158 and substitute for that. But unfortunately, I found myself struggling and tried to work with my instructor, but just did not get the same help I did in the past. Instead, I was told that the work was easy and that I needed to figure it out. Although I panicked, there were so many people in my life that supported me and helped me to calm myself and talk to my instructor and reach an agreement. If I was able to demonstrate my understanding of the course material during my final, I would pass with a passing grade, and in the end, I got an A. College has been my saving grace and has helped me turn my life around, although there were times that I did feel like I couldn't make it through a class while juggling all my responsibilities. I realized how influential my college huaka'i has been. If someone would have told me 6 years ago that I would have been in college and be passing my math classes, I would have thought they were crazy because at that time I didn't see my own value and I never thought it would have been possible. College has helped me fill that void and gave me that purpose in life. Although my life has been a series of ups and downs, I believe that everything I've been through has brought me to where I am today. Had I not experienced my past struggles in life and found college, I would not be the mother that I knew I could be. I am constantly looking forward to my next journey and all that it has to offer, and just want to thank you all for listening, and I hope you guys enjoyed.
Aloha. I'm here with Lisa Raposo, who I will be interviewing today regarding the ka'au, her ka'au, as well as her mo'olelo. Aloha, Lisa. Welcome, and for being here today and sharing your story, your adventures in your education. So welcome.
Aloha, Isaiah. Mahalo for having me here today.
So let's get started. So I did mention to you otherwise about what ka'au is, and as you know that there's 4 components to it: the hua, ha'alele, huaka'i, and ho'i. So let's start otherwise with the hua, which is the beginning of your journey of your mo'olelo, I should say, kalamai.
Okay. I think from the very beginning, I was really fortunate and blessed to have both sets of grandparents raise me in part of my life from the beginning. And I believe my grandma, Mildred Kukikolo Chow, and my grandfather, Richard Chow, from the very beginning already knew that I was going to college, even when I didn't, even when I didn't feel like that was I was gonna do. They already knew that. I'm not sure how they knew, but they knew. And eventually, after high school, I didn't go to college. It actually took me a good 20 years to get back to school. I said I was gonna take a year off, and a year turned to 20 years. So 20 years after high school, I got an opportunity to go to college. But it was my grandparents, my grandmother especially, who instilled that in me, and has always been that solid support for me throughout my college journey.
Can you share what was that one thing that got you to go back, to actually seek out college then?
Okay, so my grandma, she belongs to the Aloliki program in the Kupuna program, and was offered an opportunity to go back to school. She didn't finish high school. She dropped out at 8th grade, and so she didn't have a high school diploma. But to the Aloliki program at age 79, she went and got her GED. And I was like, wow, grandma, she could go back to school at that age. I mean, what is my excuse of not, going back to college and going back to school? So she was my example and my motivation. Like, if grandma can do it, I can do it.
Awesome. So otherwise you started off at Kauai Community College, and so what brought you here otherwise?
So very, very thankful for the Wai'alele project. In 2010, I had an opportunity. It was to try college, right? Try it out. I was like, okay, I'm gonna, my supervisor at the time referred me because you needed a referral to get along with your application. So I went, did the application, not thinking anything, not too much serious thought, but I knew that I wanted to go back to school. I was more afraid because it's been so long. And initially I thought I was gonna be like a hairdresser or do nails and makeup, which I don't really do that, or I don't have intentions of. I like it when somebody else will do it for me, but me myself, no. But I knew that in the job that I already had that in order to move up, you'd have to have some kind of degree. And why Ale project was that opening. He referred me, I applied, I got in, I was in the first cohort. I said, I'll try it. I'll try for 1 semester and let's see. Because it's not easy, right? My whole life had to switch, had to change. So that was the opening, and I'm very grateful and thankful for the project.
Yeah. So the ha'alele, which is the next step of the ka'au, Can you share about, what is it that you actually had, how did you prepare yourself for school, as well as, I know that you have a family, so how did you prepare yourself to take care of, both of these things you had to juggle, otherwise?
Yes, that was the one. I think one of the biggest shifts that I had to make was trying to balance school, work, and family. And the first thing I did is I spoke to my husband and my kids. I spoke to them to ask, especially my husband, if he would, be able to support me in this. Because if I didn't have his support, I wouldn't be able to have done this on my own, because it was a huge shift. He would, the tables are turned. He would have to be Mr. Mom. He would have to do all the child care, the schooling, the cooking, and the cleaning, because I would go from work straight to school. And he said, yeah. He said yes. And I'm not going to lie, it was not easy. There's a lots of different barriers and challenges that we had to face through my college journey. But my husband and my kids, are the real troopers in this. They stood by me and supported me all the way through. I mean, I miss a lot of things with my kids, their sports, their schooling, a lot of things that they did that I couldn't go to because I had class. When I had childcare issues, my parents and in-laws would step in to help, transporting to school, picking up, taking to after school activities. I did not do this on my own, so I had lots of support from my family, my extended family. And that's really the only way I knew that I would be able to do this if I had their support.
And the next, otherwise, is the huaka'i. So, in this part of the ka'au, otherwise, there's other challenges. There's many challenges. Can you share some of your challenges, as well as your successes, your ups and downs during this period of time?
So since I never I wasn't in school for a really long time, I didn't really know how. I wasn't really confident in the beginning, like how would I juggle, first of all, school, work, and home, and then getting into the academic part of school. Like, am I able to do this? Because it's been a long time, and I wasn't really that confident. But my first semester, I got 2 A's. I was like, oh, I can do this. And I think I got all A's throughout all my college journey, except for math, which is still a challenge. But I passed my classes. I had lots of support from the project, including my own kids. My son, they're both geniuses in math, and I struggled with that throughout my college journey. But they kind of swooped in and helped me understand math a little bit more, and I had their support. Other challenges would be just like on a daily how my schedule would be. Sometimes I'd have to work later. Sometimes I was not able to pick up my kids, and there are like my extended supports to help me get with that. I was glad too that I had really good communication with our professors. So if I was running late or something came up, like I know there were a couple of times, because this is Kauai, we only have one road, so a couple of times where there's traffic for whatever reasons, I was able to call in or at least email them and let them know. But just daily barriers that for some it could be really hard, but I'm glad that everything panned out for me, and I was able to get through each barrier, regardless of what it was. Yeah, a lot of people are understanding. And especially my family, I think my husband was the most happiest when I was finished with school, because he really was a trooper, and he really did a lot of things to help me navigate the juggling of work, school, and home life. And we communicated whenever there was an issue or problem. I made sure I communicate with the right people to come up with solutions so that we could be moving forward. so that my schooling wouldn't stop, that life wouldn't stop, and everything would just continue to go on. I'm that type of person. I'm always looking for a solution. I'm always looking to how to get past situations. So even if I was faced with barriers or situations or circumstance, I would always try to be more positive about it and find a way out of it. And trust me, the work got harder as I went to each degree, right? So after my associates, I did my bachelor's at Hilo, and in psychology, and the projects got tougher, the work got harder, demanded more of my time to concentrate and focus on all my schoolwork, but I was still able to do that with the support of my family.
And then the last component of the ka'au is the ho'i. So this is when you're back in the community, and I just know otherwise that you've contributed. You contributed even while you were in college and in school. But can you share anything? Now that you've finished school, and you can give them a big surprise that I'm very proud of you at, but you can share what just happened this past spring, or last spring, I should say. You can share about that, but what is it that you believe that you can contribute to our community, not only in your family, but in our community, our Kauai CC community as well, but even our Kauai community as a whole. What do you think that you're able to bring back to be able to share, and what have you learned too?
Sure. So I'm very grateful and thankful that I have really good role models, and from a very young age, it was always modeled for me about giving back, taking care, malama our community, malama your family, helping kukua whenever you can. So that was always instilled in me. That's a huge value that I carry with me wherever I go, and I've seen that pan out from my grandma and all the community service that she has done. I've seen that with my mother and all the amounts of people that she continued to help. And I've done it within the Wai'ale'ale project where we did community service. I feel it's a huge piece of your college journey, because you also have to learn how to give back and learn to give back to your community. And we did a lot of that within Wai'ale'ale project at Kauai Community College. We did food drives, and we did malam huli'ia, we did cleanups, beach cleanups, and even to the point of knowing what kind of resources our island has and how to navigate those resources. Even in helping, if somebody would call me and ask, hey, can you help me understand how to fill out a food stamps application or a medical application, or how to navigate the system. Those kinds of things. Even knowing what kind of resources we have on this island. We have a wealth of resources on this island that a lot of people don't know about, and how to tap into that for the benefit of, helping somebody get to where they need to be. And school has allowed me to make those connections with agencies, as well as my professional work gave me opportunities to make those connections, to network, to collaborate. And I'm a huge part of teamwork. I love teamwork. I love working with other people and other agencies and coming up with solutions as a team to move forward. And I get to do that with school. I get to do that in my professional job. I get to do that in my family. And it came from the journey, from way before, from when I was younger, not knowing that I was gonna do this job. I didn't realize I was gonna be doing this. But when I look back, that's pretty much what I did all my life. I'm a good listener, and pretty much that's what it is. If you listen and you give people time to vent and explain, then you come up with solutions. I pretty did that all my life, and I'm caring and supportive. And I really, really love working with other people and coming up with good solutions. So I'm thankful for the opportunities that I get to talk with other people, other agencies, and look at all the different resources they offer, and then showing somebody else how to tap into that and how to help them get better and how to help them move forward. And I'm allowed that opportunity through school and through work.
Yeah, so Lisa, I know that you're a very, very humble person otherwise. I've known you since, I believe, 2000. Yeah, 2000, since the year 2000. And I know that you've come a long, long way to where you're at. And I'm otherwise very proud of you and for all that you've accomplished. But I just want to share with the people, how far you've come. So back in 2000, Lisa and I worked at CPS. And she started from the bottom in that department. And, now these 20, 21 years that she's been there and going to school. Of course, as you've heard, she did complete her associate's degree here at Kauai Community College. She did distance learning for her bachelor's in psychology degree at Hilo. And then just this past spring, to 2020, Lisa actually earned her master's degree in psychology. And today, this morning, she mentioned to me that she just got hired as a supervisor in Child Protective Services here on Kauai. So, we talk about accomplishments, but she, Lisa is the person who you see on the screen. The stories that you hear that she's sharing, she is all that. And I'm very, very proud of her. And I know Kauai is proud of her. So thank you, Lisa, for all that you do, because I know that you do a lot of community work in addition to, as you had mentioned, in addition to your job. So mahalo nui. And thank you for coming here to share your story with us. So is there any last things that you'd like to share? Any advice you'd like to give to students?
Yeah, I just want to mention, I sorry I didn't mention that. I know I should have said it myself. Yeah, I did get my associate's from KCC, my bachelor's from Hilo, my master's in social work from Manoa, and most recently promotion to supervisor of our East Unit Child Welfare Service branch here in Kauai. Very thankful. It all stems from, my college journey, my life journey, and anybody who is ever sitting out there thinking that they want to go to school, you're never too old. I think if you're the older, the better, because you're seasoned and with more experience. And like for me, I had a timeline. I don't have time to waste. And I stuck to my timeline, and I got to where I needed to go with so much help and with so much support that I'm very grateful and thankful for. But if you ever want to go and you don't know how to, reach out. You can reach out to me. I'll help you. I do that too on a daily. Anytime anybody has questions and they reach out, I advise them and tell, hey, you want to go? Let's talk story. Let's figure out how you want to go to school. If you want to do something with your life. School has huge impacts, and it has for me, and it can be for you too. And if you wanna go, start at KCC. Call KCC, call the counseling and advising office, make an appointment. That's how it started, and they have a good team, they have good support. Even to this day, I'm still helping people get to college through Waiʻaleʻale project. I refer people in, so in my line of work, I work with a lot of foster youth. So when they age out and college is part of their goals, I'm helping them get in. And the project is like one of the best ways to start, right? Because there's so much different support, so much different resources. And they have mentors who've been in the project and who knows the pathways and so forth. And I love this campus. Of all the degrees I have, my associate's degree is the one that means the most. I'm not sure why, but it means a lot. I think it's because, it took a long time to get there. Longer than the bachelor's and the master's. It took a really long time to even set foot on campus. And I felt so welcomed and encouraged. And I had so much help along the way that even with the challenges and even with the barriers, I was able to do it. Very thankful for this opportunity. very thankful to share my story. Thank you, Isaiah, again. Mahalo for having me and allowing me to this time. Mahalo.
Mahalo to Candice, Shante, Joanna, and Lisa for sharing the Kawelo Mo'olelo and their personal Mo'olelo. Please welcome Kumupua Rossi Fukino, who will share about one of our community partnerships, Malama Hule'ia.
Aloha. Part of this understanding of ka'au is also recognizing the nature of cycles, that we give back to what we are given. Ha'awi aku, ha'awi mai. Our kuleana as educators and as students is to give back to our lahui, to our community, and to our aina. With that mana'o, or idea in mind, we wanted to incorporate this idea of aloha aina into our ka'au framework so that it's not just us receiving this ike, or knowledge, but also our giving back to the ka'au through aloha aina. Plus, it allowed us to have some time together outside of work events and just to have some fun. We are very fortunate that we have a lo'i kalo on our campus and that the stream that feeds our lo'i runs down through the area where there is also a loko'i'a or fish pond. Ala Koko, known commonly as Menehune Fish Pond, lies within our campus ahupua'a and therefore provides a wonderful opportunity for our faculty, staff, and students to work in the restoration of the fish pond. Malama Hule'ia, the organization in charge of this restoration, started working to clear mangrove and replant native species in the Hule'ia wetland area. The hope was to move towards Alakoko Fish Pond, which luckily began several years ago. Alakoko Fish Pond is known in Kauai's history as a site built by Menehune at the request of the Ali'i. Although this is the more well-known fish pond, Hule'ia River is the site of several other loko'i'a, such as its sister pond, Kalalalehua. Our campus has been fortunate to be involved in the restoration of this historical site, being able to bring groups to help clear mangrove and other invasive species and replant native wetland plants. Our haumana have had such great experiences at this fish pond, and as part of our ka'au experience, we wanted to take the time to give back to our community and also attempt to fly our kites. Our time together began at the ahu with our two alaka'i, Peleke Flores and Lou Woodward, and we gave ourselves a moment to center ourselves and understand the purpose of what we were doing. We recognized those who came before us, our kupuna who walked on and tended to that aina, and we also looked at places where the Kawelo story may have taken place. From there, the hard work started. The Kawelo story took a backseat as we pulled weeds and cleared debris and replanted native meakanu, or native plants. Some of what we planted included ahu'awa and makaloa, which was fun because we got to see the plant that our Makaloa Council is named after. We also took down a huge tree together, which was probably the toughest part of the day, but also the most rewarding. We were getting ready to pull down that tree in this picture coming up. We're smiling, but we were a little nervous, making sure that the tree wouldn't fall on us. The amount of hana, or work, done to restore this area is outstanding. It's a good reminder that a'ohe hana nui ke alu'ia. No task is too big when done together. And our time at Alakoko recentered our group and reminded us of where we are now and the kupuna we come from. It returned us ho'i to our community, and that feeling of togetherness and contribution is one we took back to our campus. The only thing we didn't get to do was fly our kites, so perhaps on our next huaka'i. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui kumupua. This webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Hawaii Papa'okea website at www.hawaii.edu/Hawaii Papa'okea, Keao. We end our time with you by sharing one more mele from Ni'ihau called Mama Ani's Medley. Please join Keiki Aloha, Titi Tita, Hi'ipoi Kanahele Waka Melau, Alberto, and Josh in this melee. At the end of the music video, you will see a list of people that have assisted and participated in this event. We mahalo all of them for their time and kokua. Mahalo nui a kako for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed your time with us. Ahui ho, aloha.